morning. My name is Marina Mosquera. I'm an archaeologist working for more than 32 years in the Sierra de Atapuerca sites in Spain, investigating human evolution where meat consumption is a major issue. I'm really glad to contribute to this event, and I thank the organization and particularly the Farm Revolution for the invitation. Meat consumption is as old as our own genus, Homo, with about 2,600,000 years ago, or even older, close to 3,300,000 years ago. But this is an anomaly in our order, the primates. So why and where did it start this behavior? About 4 or 3 million years ago, the climate in Africa started to change. Seasons began to mark the rhythm of the environment, and the huge, close tropical forests occupying most of the continent became more and more open, forming large areas known as savannas. As the environment changed, many of the forest primates stay at the core of these tropical woods. Some of these forest primates were roughly bipedal from a long time before, so today researchers do not link the emergence of bipedalism and the occupation of the savannas, even though this type of open landscape surely helped bipedalism to reinforce. On the contrary, some other primates, likely those occupying the side areas of the forests and those less adapted to compete, started to reorganize their survival in the new landscape, the savannas, which are grass and bushy areas with patches of trees dispersed across the landscape. This new landscape entailed much more difficulties than imagined. Where close tropical forests offer fruits, vegetables, leaves, and roots whenever the time and wherever the place, savannas are marked by space and time. That is, resources appear in different areas and also in different seasons. This fact forced the newly settlers to adopt a generalist diet, making profit of whatever the energetic resource along the year and across the space. From fruits, vegetables, leaves, and others, hominins started to consume whatever was around, including meat, which at the end resulted in a powerful evolutionary clue. Meat consumption by a representative of our genus, Homo habilis rudolfensis, is firstly recorded in African archaeological sites such as Cadagona in Ethiopia at 2,600,000 years ago. However, meat consumption may have been even older, with about 3,300,000 years, corresponding to an ancestor of our genus, the Australopithecus. This is the evidence still in debate, shown by the cut marks on herbivore bones at the sites of the Kika in Ethiopia and Lomekwi in Kenya. Cut marks are the grooves formed on the surface of bones by sharp-edged stone tools, knives, at butchering an animal. Hominins lack large teeth and claws to process carcasses, so cutting started to be a crucial task for their survival and a sort of task that none of the rest of animals had to face. The invention of technology was the answer to this need, in the form of knapping stones to obtain sharp-edged flakes to cut meat. From this time onwards, hominins added meat to their diet as a supplement more and more important. Even though vegetables were always an important part of their diet, it could be stated that meat shaped human beings into major aspects. In one hand, both scavenging and hunting require for a complex social and cooperative capabilities, which doubtless was crucial for their survival. As early hominins were small animals, poorer supplied physiologically than other carnivores with which to compete for the same prey or their remains. Hence, It likely contributed to the development of intelligence and language, as well as for the enlargement of the brain size. Brain is one of the most expensive organs, demanding a large amount of energy for its development and maintenance. So a way to assure this extra energetic supply for the brain development was by reducing the energy required for the digestive system, that is, guts and stomach. Herbivores need a long and complex digestive system in order to extract the nutrients from vegetables. On the contrary, carnivores have digestive systems shorter and simple. As hominins incorporated gradually more meat in their diet, their digestive system became smaller, while high-protein nutrients from meat were then used to enlarge their brain and possibly its complexity. Meat consumption became crucial for hominins' lives, either by scavenging or hunting, keeping with them the traditions of the production of stone tools when they went out Africa and occupied Eurasia around 1,800,000 years ago. But meat also may include hominin meat. Here in Europe, at about 890,000 years ago, in the Spanish side of Grandolina level TD6 in Atapuerca, at least 11 Homo antecessor individuals were hunted and consumed by other hominins. It is the earliest evidence of cannibalism in prehistory. Beside hominins, the level is plenty of stone tools, cores, and waste of knapping of quartzite, chert, and sandstone, the former being used to butcher the hominin corpses, but also the carcasses of several animals, including rhino, horses, and deer, all of them hunting at the surroundings of the cave and carried out there to process them. The amount of lithic and faunal remains, as well as their characteristics, demonstrates that the cave of Grandolina at the human occupation time of TD6 was a campsite. Indeed, the number and variety of animals and even of plant seeds points that the environment was very rich, so a famine event cannot be the explanation for the cannibalism. Also, the 11 Homo antecessor individuals there processed and consumed were between 4 and 16 years old. This profile does not match with any catastrophic nor attritional profile, but it really fits with the range of a population that guarantees the survival of the community. Surely, this community became extant. Middle Pleistocene hominins, those living between 780,000 and 120,000 years ago, the so-called pre-Neanderthals, were very good hunters, only surpassed by the Neanderthals who live in Europe between 120,000 and 30,000 years ago, and later surpassed by us, modern humans. At the beginning of this trajectory, hunting was often done in single events, but at about 450,000 years ago, the level TD10-2 of Grandolina recorded the first communal and massive hunting in prehistory. There, a minimum number of 55 bisons were trapped to tumble the cliffs near the caves. This was not made in a single event, but likely in some few seasons. Although the study of the bones and their pattern of breakage show that most of them were processed, it is difficult to understand such a huge amount of meat, fat, and blood to be consumed by a single population, bearing in mind that a bison weighs up to 1,300 kilograms. In addition, the poor food preserving techniques at that moment surely did not allow to postpone its consumption. Therefore, this hominin group was really part of a huge concentration of communities, such as the yearly meetings that many Native American tribes organized in order to reinforce the social relationships and to exchange individuals for preserving a healthy genetic variability, or this is the first time in prehistory that humans started to waste resources, maybe beginning then a long history of wasting that today is ending in the unsustainability of our behavior. Fortunately, this type of events seldom occur, so the ecological system held the increasing number of humans along the Pleistocene and the Holocene, with the inventions of new systems of farming and agriculture at the Neolithic. Between 10,000 and 8,000 years before present, climate became more arid, and some human populations started to systematically domesticate wild animals and to cultivate wild vegetables with high nutritious properties such as cereals and fruit trees. Agriculture and livestock were the basis of what is called the Neolithic Revolution, and with it, the systematic settlement in permanent areas and the demographic increase. These are the foundations of the dawn of civilization as we know them, including work specialization and social division, the need for assigning productive resources as more efficiently as possible, and to choose between scarce resources. The unavoidable conflict at the time of distributing the resources of the economic activity, and more recently, the problem of guaranteeing a greater and greater production of food, minimizing the ecological and systemic cost that it represents for the environmental sustainability of the planet. This is the well-known story that had led us to a number of 7,000 millions of humans collapsing our planet socially, ecologically, and economically. There is not any system capable to cope with 7,000 millions of needs and wishes. Huge amounts of food are required to sustain this population. Vegetarianism and veganism correctly fight against an excess of meat in our diets. But huge amounts of vegetables also require for destroying natural landscapes and for huge amounts of water that we do not have. Today, we can be vegetarians or vegans because of intercontinental trade allows that balanced diets arrive to our homes. At the medieval ages, few people were voluntarily vegetarians because people ate proximity products, which may not guarantee balanced diets. However, proximity products preserve the climate, while intercontinental trade destroyed the atmosphere by producing large amounts of CO2. Also, vegetarians and vegans correctly fight against the suffering of animals that we consume. Indeed, not only them, but every time a larger number of meat consumers do not want the animals to suffer, and we want they live as freely and welfare as possible until the time they are slaughtered. Fortunately, humanization seems to go, although slowly, taking control of our own ancient behavior, and as well as we do not burn witches anymore at the squares of our villages, and so we do try to have our criminals quite comfortable even being jailed. We do not want that our animals to be consumed live poor and caged lives and suffer anymore. Meat consumption has been so important to humans because it has allowed us to develop our brains along the human evolution, which in turn facilitated a feedback among complex technology, complex and flexible behavior, social relationships, the creation of new needs, and the invention of new responses. Technology and meat consumption allowed the hominization, but also facilitated the much more subtle concept of humanization. Surely, we have crossed a boundary in our planet, But maybe we have evolved enough, both as hominins and as humans, as to reinvent ourselves, taking this moment as a milestone. And as those hominins in the savannah 3 million years ago reinvent our life, which, no matter what, goes through controlling our demography, diversifying our proximity products, treating better our animals and natural world, and consuming, also eating, just what we need. Thank you very much for your attention.